Executive Director of Leadership Foundation, Reverend Father George Ihusani. You're welcome, Father. Eze Nwanwago is many things, but he's a force to reckon with in the civil society groups, and it's difficult to pinpoint him into one area. But thank you, sir, for coming and for coming early. We have also with us the Executive Director for Global Rights, Abiodun Bayewu. Thank you very much for coming out. Hussein also, particularly I want to appreciate family members for standing strong and being strong for the deceased. I'm sure if he was here and it was someone else that was in his stead, he will also be telling us to be strong. I appreciate Mrs. Dennis Mbaibu. We also want to especially appreciate Raphael, who has also been around since. Welcome. So distinguished guests, we will appreciate also the team at Clean Foundation, led by the Executive Director, Dr. Benson Olugbo. Thank you very much. Welcome, sir. These are trying times for us all, but we understand that death is not an end. It is the doorway to a beautiful life. And if people truly know what life lies ahead after death, there will be no need to be afraid of death. So I want to welcome us once again and believe that He's one who has gone ahead of us, but this sure is a route that every one of us must pass. We have also with us a former Executive Director of Clean Foundation, now of Partners West Africa, Nigeria. This is Kemi Okenyodo. You're welcome, ma'am. Let me hope that the police band is ready. Our program is a straightforward one. We will take the opening prayers after the national anthem, and then we'll take an opening remarks, we'll take a few hymns, reflections, we'll share a documentary, and we'll put us in a same and serene atmosphere. Mirabel will be doing something with the violin. We'll read the biography, we'll take a few tributes, and then afterwards, it will be time for us to just say thank you and do the closing prayer, and then we'll leave. So it's a very straightforward program. I pray that you are able to stay till the end, because at the end, we hope to use the candles that you have in your hands to just sing a special hymn and pray for the repose of his soul. At this point, I want us to be on our feet as we honor Nigeria, led by the police band, as we take the national anthem. Therefore, I want to invite Reverend Father George Ihusani as he leads us in the opening prayer. Allow us to still remain the Executive Director of Lux Terra Leadership Foundation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you, we praise you, we glorify your holy name. We thank you for gathering us here this evening for this evening of tribute to our brother and friend and colleague, Innocent, whom you have taken away from us. We thank you for the gift that you made him for his family, for his friends and colleagues, for the entire civil society community in this country. Thank you for the wonderful strides, for the wonderful work he did with his life from the beginning to the very end. Lord, now receive him into your presence of glory. We ask you to now receive him in that joyous company where we ourselves hope to join him someday and never to part. Grant consolation and peace to the family he has left behind and to the friends he has left behind. Help us all to live our lives each day, reminding ourselves that one day we shall join innocent and all our departed brethren. Help us to put that in mind so that we may be properly guided on the meaning of life by reflecting on death. Be with us this evening. Let today's ceremony glorify you and honor our brother. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
With the prayer said, we believe that we have officially resumed and started the process in honor of our late brother, father, uncle, and friend. To begin, I know that the police band is still putting together, so I want to invite Mirabelle to come and just to do something for us. This Mirabelle is there before we take the reflections and then we get all the other things ready.
Chineke nwe obotu wabio. Chineke nwe obotu wabio. Onye mụrụta ịga ya onye chio. Chineke nwe obotu wabio.
Thank you very much, the police band. I'm sure we'll have a lot of time for you later on today. But let me welcome in our midst the Chief of Staff to the Deputy Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mr. Dr. Otive Ibuzo. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much. We also have with us from PLAG, we have Dr. Clement Wambo. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. We have also Uma Odi, who also represents colleagues in the civil society groups. Welcome and thank you very much for coming in. We'll take the recognitions as we go on, but let me first welcome for the opening remarks on behalf of the chairman of the Board of Directors, Claim Foundation, who is still trying to get here. In his place, we will have the Executive Director for Clean Foundation, Dr. Benson Olubu, to come and deliver the opening remarks. Please put your hands together for him.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, Management, and staff of Clean Foundation, we want to sincerely welcome each and every one of us to this night of tributes. Innocent was a man of many parts. Some people have described him as an Iroko tree. Some people have described him as an elephant. Some people have also described him as somebody who was very humane and who touched so many lives. This night is more or less a night of celebration, to celebrate a man who touched so many lives. In fact, it's after his death that we realized he had his hand in so many things. May his soul rest in peace. But also 3 key lessons Innocent has left us is that you could live a life of impact, irrespective of how many years you have spent here on earth. The second one is that in every opportunity you find, please be good and sow seeds of peace, sow seeds that could germinate and bear more fruits for people. And I think the third reflection, I'm not the one giving the reflection anyway, that Innocent has shown us is that even as we have these strategic plans, 50 years plan, 20 years plan, 10 years, 5 years, also remember that somebody who owns this life, and we can always be called at any point in time. So this night is not a night of crying, it's actually a night of tributes. And I'm sure you have this book that is more than 150 pages, actually reminding us of the life, the times of Innocent. And if he was here, he would just be one side crying, probably looking at us and say, right on. And he's also trying to tell us that it's not a night to cry, but it's also a night to reflect about him and also about us as human beings. So on behalf of the board, the management and staff, I want to sincerely thank each and every one of us here. We thank the family for giving him to us and allowing him to make that tremendous sacrifice of being a motivator, of being a father, and also being one of the people we look up to as civil society citizens. We also want to thank people who associated with him in his childhood days, who are also here with us. We want to thank government institutions he worked with, especially the police band, the Nigerian Police Force that sent a very high delegation. We want to thank people who are here, who played also a role in his life. I know that one of us here actually, Mrs. Chukwuma, was working in his office where Innocent met his wife and married Josephine. So we want to also thank you for coming. And on behalf of the board and management of Clean Foundation, we want to sincerely welcome you. And this is not just the end. There will also be another tribute in Owerri on 10th. And then the remaining programs that will take place in Mbise next week. We look forward to all of us participating. I also pray that God will repose his soul, grant us journey mercies even as we celebrate a man who means so many things to each and every one of us. Thank you once again. May the Lord bless all of us. God bless you.
Thank you very much. One good thing he did was that he had put people in place who will do what ordinarily he was doing here. At Clean Foundation, he had ready people And at home, on the home front, he had also people who would be able to support whatever it was that he was doing. It was Albert Pike who said, "What we have done for ourselves alone dies with us. What we have done for others and the world remains and is immortal." So today we're here to celebrate one man who has done a lot for himself and for country, but he has left for us immortal and indelible footprints that we will live to celebrate continually. At this point, I'll go to the police band, who have been carefully prepped to lead us in a hymn at this point. We want to be on our feet together as we take this hymn led by the police band. Thank you very much. Please, may you take your seats. It is really difficult to speak about Mr. Innocent Chukwuma in the past. Everyone that I have spoken with in the last 72 hours simply had something they were planning to do with him. It is also possible to say he's not gone, because some people become present only by living. And they say it is better to be alone than to be in bad company. And if you are lonely when you are alone, it means you are in bad company. So we have consolation in the fact that he lived a good life. He worked hard and he left a legacy. To be able to encourage us to live and to be strong while we're here is one who has been trained in the art of consolation and encouragement. He knows what it lies ahead of us. So for the reflections today, I want to invite once again Reverend Father George Ehusani, who will speak to us on the need to be strong, the they need to be alive, and to need to appreciate the one who gives and who takes because he knows the reason why.
Once again, my words of consolation to the immediate family and the friends and partners and colleagues of our friend Innocent Chukwuma. May he rest in peace. The author of the book of Ecclesiastes, Kohelet, or the preacher, in Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 2, laments that all our ambitions as human beings, our preoccupations as human beings, our aspirations amount to vanity of all vanities. I recall classical novelist Thomas Hardy comes to a similar conclusion in the book The Mayor of Casterbridge, when he writes that the human story is such that moments of joy and happiness are only interludes in life's general drama of pain. Moments of joy and happiness, says Thomas Hardy, are only interludes in life's general drama of pain. And Thomas Hobbes describes the miserable plight of the generality of human beings for whom life is nasty, brutish, and short. But while discussing the resurrection within the context of the reality of suffering and pain and the humiliation of physical death in the world, St. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15:19 that if Christ has not been raised from the dead, or if there were no resurrection of the dead, and if our hope in Christ were for this world alone, then of all creatures we are to be most pitied. My dear friends, with all the distractions of our age, many people find it difficult to reflect on what I call the fundamental question of life's ultimate purpose and what it is that really makes life meaningful. We prefer to just live through each day, struggling for space, competing for power, and grabbing as many toys as we could lay our hands on along the way, rather than engage in the more philosophical question of the essence of our existence. We often get so engrossed in the rat race to succeed in business, to get to the top in politics, and to become social celebrities that we miss out on what truly matters in life and what really gives meaning to life. Indeed, today, we are all under such intense pressure to live on the fast lane, to be like the Joneses, to consume more and more goods, to indulge in more and more pleasures, and to acquire more and more personal freedom, that we have little time left to ask ourselves what meaning there is to all these earthly preoccupations. There appears indeed to be an epidemic of widespread thoughtlessness or lack of vision among us today, on account of which many people are living very destructive and meaningless lives. Yet, the Greek philosopher Socrates observes that a life that is not reflected upon is hardly worth living. The painful paradox of our human existence, dear friends, is that we are constantly drawn to the glamorous parts, even though somewhere in our consciousness we recognize that not all that glitters is gold. We are constantly looking for more and more comfort, for more and more pleasure, for more and more wealth, and of course for more and more power, prestige, and popularity, even when we know that they don't necessarily bring contentment or fulfillment. We push so much of our attention, we put so much of our attention and our energy into pursuing wealth, pleasure, and power, seeking to find happiness thereby. Yet, somewhere in our consciousness, we know that these things do not in themselves bring ultimate happiness. This is why St. Augustine, 4th century philosopher and theologian, noted that men and women pursue happiness even when they live in such a way as to render happiness impossible. As human beings, we were created for a purpose. Our ultimate fulfillment and happiness lies in the realization of this purpose. We are designed in such a way that we can neither find happiness nor attain fulfillment within ourselves, no matter how much we try. We are wired in such a way that ultimate happiness and fulfillment for each one of us lies beyond ourselves. No amount of material pleasure, no amount of wealth, and no amount of power and security can provide for us the joy and the peace and the authentic happiness that is only available to acquire, that is only available in our Creator. Indeed, the human heart hungers and thirsts after something beyond all that is available in this world. This is why, as I said, the author of Ecclesiastes lamented, "Vanity of vanities, the preacher says, all is vanity. What profit can we show for all our toiling under the sun? A generation goes, a generation comes, yet the earth stands firm forever. What was will be again, and what has been done will be done again, and there is nothing under the sun that is new. I, Kohelet, have reigned over Israel in Jerusalem. Wisely I have applied myself to investigation and exploration of everything that happens under heaven. What a wearisome task God has given humanity to keep us busy. I have seen everything that is done under the sun. It is all vanity, mere chasing after the wind." Sadly, friends, only a few get to discover this fact in their journey through life. And so many spend a whole lifetime, like I said, living destructive lives. It is the same Augustine of the 4th century, St. Augustine, who discovered this truth in the middle of his life when he declared, "The Lord has created us for himself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in him." Thus, true, authentic, lasting happiness can only be found in the higher level of meaning and purpose, not in the mundane level of material wealth, creature comfort, political power, and popularity. That is to say, human beings do not achieve authentic, lasting happiness and fulfillment simply through the acquisition of wealth, power, high social status, and popularity. Those who go to incredible extents in the desperate pursuit of happiness do not often find it. Instead, authentic happiness comes through a lifestyle of service and commitment to others. Commitment to the happiness and the welfare of others, such as we are celebrating Chukwuma for. We achieve authentic, lasting happiness and fulfillment only in proportion to our commitment to enhancing the quality of the life of others, especially the poor, the needy, the widow, the disabled, the orphan, the homeless, the victims of injustice, the less privileged. Innocent, for whom we are gathered, recognized this fact very early in his life, even when he was just in school. And with CLO, Clean Foundation, Ford Foundation, as well as numerous partners and collaborators across the world, he spent his life in the service of others. May the Lord be praised for the gift that he was. The central paradox of our Christian faith, which many have constantly failed to recognize, is what St. Paul calls the foolishness of the cross that is wiser than human wisdom. It is what Jesus puts across when he says, "Anyone who loves his life will lose it, and anyone who loses his life for my sake and for the sake of the kingdom will find it. And whoever wants to be great among you must make himself last and servant of all." In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus teaches that the poor and those who serve the poor are blessed, and that it is the narrow gate that leads to life, not the wide and spacious road. That small is beautiful, and that the first shall be the last, and the last first. St. Francis of Assisi understood this paradox of our Christian faith very well and gave loud witness to that truth when he says, "It is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. This is why he prayed, Lord, make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me show your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there is doubt, true faith in you. Oh, Master, grant that I may never seek so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is despair, let me give hope. Where there is darkness, only light. And where there is sadness, ever joy. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying to self that we are born to eternal life. Having said this, why did innocent Chukwuma have to depart this world so suddenly and at such a prime age? I am almost 10 years older than innocent. Rendering his beloved wife and his children without father, without husband. I have no answer to this question than to point to the cross of Jesus Christ. The answer is in the form of another question. Why did the Son of God Most High, the Holy One who did all things well, why did he have to suffer so? But quickly we are reminded by St. Paul in Romans chapter 8 verse 18 that the sufferings we shall have to undergo in this world are nothing compared to the magnitude of the glory that awaits us in Jesus Christ. And he says in Romans 8:35, who or what will separate us from the love of Christ? Will hardship or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or the sword? Then he concludes in verse 39 of chapter 8 of Romans. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels nor rulers, nor things present nor things to come, nor powers nor heights nor depths, nor anything else in our creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen. Christian thinking has brought a refreshingly new dimension to the mystery of death and the human longing to live on. Christ says in John 12:24, unless the grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. For the Christian, immortality is the whole point of life. To live daily in such a way as to live eternally. In our early learning as Christians, we were taught that the purpose of life, the purpose for which God made us, that God made us to do his will on earth in order that we may be happy with him in heaven. Life, therefore, finds its fulfillment in final union with the author of life, the God who created life. We believe that the sadness of death gives way to the bright promise of immortality. Because for us believers, life is only changed, not ended. And as an Indian mystic so succinctly puts it, death is not the extinguishing of the light, but putting out the lamp because dawn has come. Death is not extinguishing the light, but putting out the lamp because the dawn has come. Christian thinking is that this world is not our home, that our real home is in heaven. And so I will ask you to end, join me in singing that beautiful hymn of Jim Reeves, This World is Not Our Home. This world is not my home, I'm just passing through. The treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blues. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven is not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. I have a loving mother somewhere in glory land, and I don't expect to stop until I shake her hand. She's waiting out for me at heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven is not my home, then Lord, what shall I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Just over in glory land, we live eternally. The saints on every hand are shouting victory. Their songs of sweetest praise braved back from heaven's shore, and I can feel at home in this world anymore.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Father. We appreciate you and for helping to raise our spirits to the point where it ought to be. It's not easy. The greatest fear, or the things that we fear truly when we go to funerals or service of songs, the reason why we are calm and quiet is not because truly of those who have gone, because for them it's all over. It's largely because of ourselves. We are afraid of our own death. I had gone once to see someone at the National Hospital. He wasn't there, and I was told to go and see him at the Maitama Hospital. About 11 p.m. we were leaving, and one of us wanted to actually go. And then they said, the man who was describing the restroom for us said, once you get to the car park, you will see the mosque at the right, you will see the mortuary at the left, and the toilet is in the middle. By the time I got into the toilet, it was a row of 7 toilets. There was a passage in between, and naturally you want to enter the first one closest to the door because it was dark. And as soon as I got in, the door to the second one opened and closed. And there were no footsteps. I remember that next door was the mortuary. I don't think I finished the business I went to do there. So it's really our own fear. But the truth is that Father has given us courage and hope that beyond this life, there's something that can happen. What is lovely never dies, but passes into another loveliness. Stardust or sea foam, flower or winged air. The darker the night, the darker the stars. The deeper the grief, the closer is God. Because even though all things grow with time, grief does not grow with time. We have a special guest who's joining us online. He is going to be speaking to us right about now from the villa. We're talking about the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let me welcome Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, GCON, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Please put your hands together for him.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for this opportunity to say a few words about my friend and brother, Innocent Chukwuma. In an earlier tribute which I wrote, I mentioned that Innocent has been a friend and collaborator for very, very many years. I first met him in my days as special advisor to the Attorney General of the Federation. This was in the early 90s. At the time, he was with the Civil Liberties Organization. And all of that time, I found in him a person who was very committed to the pursuit of social justice, the pursuit of rights, and he was so completely dedicated to all of the causes and to practically everything that he did with all of his heart. But what I found most fascinating about him was that just that calmness about him. I mean, despite the fact that he was obviously, in many ways, a firebrand individual, but he was always extremely calm, always willing to listen, always willing to hear the other side. His special area, which was police reform, was one in which he and I became even more engaged when I served as Attorney General in Lagos State. And we found, of course, that he was easily the most, in terms of those who had knowledge and those who had any level of experience in police reform, Innocent was clearly head and shoulders above everyone. And so he was a very important resource for us in the law reform efforts in Lagos State at the time. And we spent a lot of time together working on criminal justice reform. When, of course, after that, we kept in touch for very, very many years, and I followed very closely all the work that he was doing. But as soon as I got here and was sworn in as vice president, Innocent and Judy Lowe were one of the very first people who came to me and said, look, what is it that we can do about police reform? What can we do about criminal justice reform? What can we do about your anti-corruption efforts and all that? And he put together the support that we got for the establishment of the Presidential Advisory Council on Anti-Corruption. And between himself and Jude in the Open Society Initiative and a couple of others, were able to start this advisory council. And they kept in touch, he kept in touch, we kept talking and discussing, fine-tuning and trying to get things done. And he never at any point in time, failed to make his views known, failed to make his criticisms, what he felt had gone wrong, what he felt could be done better. I mean, he was just always engaged. And he always believed in this country, always believed in not just the potential of this country, but what this country could become. He just never, ever gave up, never gave up hope. And so today I'm just, deeply saddened by the fact that we've lost an important partner, a great and reliable friend. Not just a friend of ours, many of us, but a great friend of this nation, and someone who was deeply committed to the best causes that could promote the interests of this country. So today I pay my special tribute to him, and on behalf of myself and the government and people of Nigeria, I want to say that we acknowledge that this is clearly one of the very best that of our generation, and we pray that the Lord God Almighty will comfort his family, and that all of the things that he believed in, all of his dreams, will still come true. And this country that he believed in so much, this country that he spent practically all his years serving in one capacity or the other, and this country will meet his highest expectations. I want to just express my sincere condolence again to Ebele, his wife, and all of the children and members of his family. And I pray that the Lord God Almighty will comfort you all. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We appreciate you for that message and for the revelation about his role that he has played in helping with the anti-corruption fight and the police reforms. All right, we will quickly take another as we prepare for the next. We hope that we can reconnect with them. I know that they were waiting for us earlier. But let's go now to the point where we hear a little more. Father had given a summarized version of his life, but now we will go into the depth of it to understand truly how he lived. He was very organized. He was everything that any human being will want to be. And they say to the well-organized mind, life is but another beautiful journey, and death is an adventure. So therefore, I want to invite to help us into the foray of his life. Let me welcome Mr. Raphael Mbegu, his nephew, who will speak to us a little about how his life was and tell us some things that we didn't know about him to help us appreciate the fact that he has gone, but he will truly never be forgotten. Please put your hands together for him.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out your time to participate in this very important event in honor of our late brother, husband, uncle, and everything to us, Mr. Innocent Chukwuma. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocols. Again, my name is Raphael Mbegu, one of the nephews Innocent picked, nurtured, trained, and gave a chance. Thank you so much, sir. I sincerely appreciate you. Innocent was born on February 6, 1966 at Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Umuahia, now capital of Abia State, to the family of late Pa Dennis and Eileen Chukwuma of Umuodia village in Umegumpam in Ekwerazụ Ayazumbise local government area of Imo State. The fifth in a family of 7, Innocent had his primary education at St. Stephen's Primary School and secondary education at Holy Ghost College, Umuahia, before proceeding to University of Nigeria Nsukka campus for his undergraduate studies. Like every child who grew up after the Civil War, where every family had to start life with 20 pounds, regardless of how much you had before the Civil War. Innocent never had any childhood. He had to help his family at early age in augmenting the family income through hawking and assisting his mother in trading. Helping his mother and putting a smile on her face was Innocent's joy. He did this in the morning and went to school in the afternoon. Through this, Innocent cut his tooth in entrepreneurship, which helped him in later life and becoming a serial entrepreneur. His life at the university and as a student. Innocent gained admission into UNN in 1986 to study religious studies and philosophy. In his second year, he joined the radical student movement known as Marxist Youth Movement, and through that joined Students' Union politics and got elected Speaker of UNN Students' Union, as well as Senate President of National Association of Nigerian Students, NAS. Watching late Chima Obani, then President of Students' Union, speaking at Zik House, influenced his joining the Student Union activism. He was among the student leaders across Nigerian campuses that led the National Anti-Structural Adjustment Program, protests of 1986, 1988, and 1989, which was the first organized national resistance against the World Bank, an international monetary fund structural adjustment program that destroyed the social welfare movement in Nigeria. As a student of the protest, Innocent and other student leaders from UNN were expelled and had to fight it out in court to get reinstated in school. It was the late Gani Fahimi and Civil Liberty Organization, CLO, that gave him free legal assistance, which got him back to school and enabled him to graduate. On graduation, Innocent was posted to Mongono in Borno State for his national youth service. He spent only a few months there before deciding to relocate to Lagos to join his friends and mentors in the student movement. Chimobani and the Moenzas, both of blessed memory, who at the time were working in civil liberty organizations, the foremost human rights organization in Nigeria. He got to Lagos and squatted with his friends at their two-room apartment in Fade in Lagos. He followed them to work daily as a volunteer because he felt it was a way of saying thank you for assisting him in school. It was a year after that CLO employed him when they saw the report on police human rights abuses that he put together. Innocent had thought his stay at CLO would be a brief stint. However, he ended up working in CLO for 6 years, rising from the position of an assistant program officer to acting executive director, before resigning in December 1997 to found Clean Foundation in January 1998. While at CLO, Innocent was actively involved in various pro-democracy groups such as Campaign for Democracy, Democracy Alliance, Women in Nigeria, and many others. He was one of those who lobbied for sanction against military before the US Congress, the first extraordinary section of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in Kampala, the United Nations Commission on Human Rights, and many others. The various international campaigns against the military won him the prestigious Reebok Award in 1996. The award had a cash component of about $25,000. Innocent, when accepting the award, stated that it would be dedicated to setting up an organization that would focus on policing and law enforcement in Nigeria. Innocent disengaged from CLO in December 1997 to found what was known then as Center for Law Enforcement Education in Nigeria in January 1998. In the course of trying to register the name of the organization with Corporate Affairs Commission, the name was considered to be a challenge to government coming at the military rules and Abacha's transition. So he had to settle with Clean Foundation, Clean, which still means Center for Law Enforcement Education in Nigeria. The idea to found Clean was based on the identification of the need for an organization that would not only be chronicling the police abuse, but one that would also work with the police to change the police from the military police to a civilian one. He recognized the fact that years of military rules and militarization of the police and had to change. Running the police project of CLO for years and learning that there were individual police officers that were not sadistic in their intentions to the community they served. That they lack proper training which will enhance their capacity to deliver on the job, and admission of the severe human rights abuses under Commercia during the first national workshop of law enforcement and human rights in Nigeria. Innocent had his focus in setting up Clean Foundation clearly cut out. Innocent set out in Clean to build partnership with civil society organizations, law enforcement agencies, pioneering institutional researches in law enforcement issues, and sustaining it. And introducing community policing in Nigeria. It was him who took the then Inspector General of Police, Stafford Balogun, to Chicago on the bill of MacArthur Foundation to visit and understudy the community policing as its practice in the US. Clean under him carried out a review of the legal framework of the police in Nigeria. He set up an endowment fund investment for the sustainability of Clean Foundation. Innocent as a serial entrepreneur. He had the Midas touch, which means anything he touches turned to gold. He found several platforms and groups which he handed over to others to run. Some of them include Traditional Monitoring Group, which Clement Nwankwo, Edetin Ojo, Festus Okoye, and many others. Also, he founded Network on Police Reform, NOPRE, Malthus Global Alliance, Alliance for Credible Elections, the African Policing Civilian Oversight Forum, PACOP, Olaka Institute of Technology, and Impact Investors Foundation. His life at Ford Foundation. In January 2013, Innocent joined Ford Foundation as the Regional Director for West Africa. Innocent was the first Nigerian to hold that position. In 2015, then President Muhammadu Buhari was elected president. Innocent coordinated a strategic funding by Ford Foundation, MacArthur Foundation, and Open Society Open Society Institute for West Africa, USUA, for the anti-corruption agenda of the government, and especially the work of the President Advisory Committee Against Corruption. Under his transformational leadership, the West Africa Office supported critical work of the government at the federal and state levels and pioneered the hosting of difficult but important conversation on the civil war in Nigeria. This impact on the way forward. He also initiated groundbreaking work in the area of impact investing in West Africa, with sole purpose of leveraging resources from the private sector towards meeting the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. This led to the launching of the Impact Investors Foundation. He was a skilled grant maker. When COVID-19 struck in March 2020, Innocent reached out to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, and was a member of Anna Foundation's COVID-19 think tank. Ford Foundation under him supported Lagos State government with vehicles to assist in contact tracing. He recently retired from Ford Foundation on January 31st, 2021, after 8 years of military service. His marriage and family. Innocent met his lovely wife of 23 years, Josephine, a feminist and women's rights activist, in September 1996, referred to as the first human rights couple in Nigeria. As they were the first activists to meet on the job and got married, Josephine and Innocent, to all who knew them, were inseparable. In planning their wedding, they operated on the philosophy of equal founders and equal joiners. They both moved from their respective apartments into a place they jointly found and set up. Josephine and Innocent are blessed with three lovely children, Chukwuma, Amarachi, and Nkechi. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you.
Thank you very much. I think we can put our hands together for a success story of a man, though gone, still lives with us. And one had said before that when we lose someone that we love, we must learn not to live without them, because basically we have to live with the love that they left behind. We'll go now into other tributes. We also want to once again thank those who are online and appreciate you for being a part of this. We'll take the first tribute will be from the staff of Clean Foundation, and representing the Clean Foundation here I have the program manager, Clean Foundation, Madam Ruth Olofin, who will be taking the first tribute. Remember, this night is about celebrating one man, and I hope that everybody who approaches this podium will be strong, because that is what Innocent Chukwuma would expect of all of us. Be strong and be courageous. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Permit me to stand on protocols already established. I've been asked by my colleagues to deliver these tributes on behalf of everybody to our founder, our dear founder. I read, Mr. Innocent, as he was fondly called, was an embodiment of different personalities to many people. To some, a dogged human rights activist, an ardent reformer, a scholar, but to us as staff of Clean Foundation, he was a leader, a mentor, a brick brother who was ever ready to coach, mentor, encourage every staff, from the gate man at the gates to the management staff, encouraging each one of us to put in our best and to consider Clean Foundation as a springboard to bigger and better opportunities within the development sector. As a leader and mentor, Mr. Innocent believed greatly in providing opportunities for young people to grow intellectually. He was committed to staff capacity building and career advancement in the development sector, particularly in the areas of public safety, security, and justice sector reforms. Mr. Innocent believed that to effectively conceptualize and design groundbreaking project ideas, staff needed to be well-grounded in the concepts and issues around public safety, security, and justice. And so, he never missed any opportunity to support staff in this regard, from simple in-house trainings, experience sharings, knowledge sharing sessions, to paid local and international training workshops. For this, staff of Clean Foundation will be forever grateful to you, Mr. Innocent, for the opportunities and practice he set in place to prioritize staff capacity development. His passion to mentor young people was further evident with the internship and training program on promoting police reform in Africa, which he pioneered while he was in Clean to expose young civil society actors in Africa to police reform ideas and efforts, as well as to broader issues of public safety, security, and justice in Africa. As a big brother and friend, Mr. Innocent epitomized humility in his engagement and interaction with staff members. He was always interested in and committed to all staff welfare and left his doors open to anyone who might need his assistance, professional or otherwise. This is truly a sober period for the Clean family. The death of our founder is more than a shock for the entire team. And up till now, we still feel this is all a dream. However, we have resolved to keep the flag flying, to stand firm, to weather the storm, to keep his legacy running, and conquer more territories as he would have wished we do. And more importantly, continue the vision for Clean Foundation to be the leading civil society organization, public safety and security in Africa and globally. This is our pledge. This is our determination. Though you are gone, you will forever be in our hearts. Rest in peace. Rest in power. Our dear founder, we love you. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you.
I still want to encourage us to be strong. I know it's a very emotional evening, but I plead with us that we'll just remain strong for him and for everyone in this hall. I want to invite Mrs. Bernice Mbegu, his older sister. I don't know if you're ready now. She will want to sing a song.
The title of the song is by the love of God, it shall be well. The song is like this. Site n'ịhụnanya Jizọs, ọ ga-adị mma. Ebere ya enweghị mgbanwe, ọ dịgo mma. Anyị na-agafe n'ime ahụhụ ọbara na tụrụ oke aka na-eje anyị ike ọdịgo mma. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chinyere Mbegu. I am the first daughter of our parents. Partenis and Helen Aliaga Chukwuma. And I am Innocent elder sister. April 3rd, 2021 was the day I will never ever forget in my life. Innocent Chukwuma was the fifth child of our parents who were born to a parent when they faced huge financial strain. He fondly called himself the village boy who made it out. He was very much the village boy with all the markers, hawking in Umaya, going to bed hungry, unsure of where payment for the school fees will come from. Innocent has always been bright and focused. Our parents always knew they were destined for greatness. They met with one of our uncles, whose child was in America, and requested that Innocent be their assistant to go to America. And our uncle declined to go. Innocent, with his can-do attitude, told our father, Papa, don't worry. I will go to that America and I will give his son a handshake. And indeed, Innocent went, met our cousin in America, and even helped to ensure he was not repatriated back to Nigeria when he encountered American immigration. This is a statement to Innocent's due to life. A problem is a challenge that has not to cry about. He took every problem as a challenge, and for every challenge there is a solution with hard work. Hence we nicknamed him Agwakepa. That's the left-handed lion. February 2021 was the last time Innocent and I saw. Our conversation were centered around new beginnings. He was very excited about his memoir, writing projects he shared on his homecoming. Innocent was moving back to Imo State. He told me, Venice, I have served my nation. I have acted as a global citizen. Now it is time to serve my community. As a family, we are at the acceptance stage. We remain grateful to God for a life well lived. He was such a great human being, so strong, courageous, intelligent, loving, and jovial. A pillar that supported our whole family. The river that supplies us water. He didn't even give us the chance to repay him for everything he did for us, his family. The house I'm living today with my family, he was the one that gave it to me. He did not go alone. Part of us went with him. The day God called him home, our family chain was broken. And nothing seemed the same. But as God calls us one by one, the chain will be linked again. In Jesus' name. But God's decision cannot be changed. He was a role model to many. He detected raw talents and refined them. He used clean foundation to prepare many young talents for great opportunities. Our children whom he helped to nurture, we really miss him and his honest fatherly advices. We did not expect it and wish we had more time to continue to appreciate him. Innocent was a loving husband to Mrs. Josephine and doting father to his 3 kids. 3 beautiful girls, respectful and generous to his siblings, and a kind uncle to his nieces and nephews. He was a mentor to 3 of my children who followed in his passion to serve in the non-profit sector, and all have brilliant careers in Clean Foundation, NOPOS, and the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD. I see all the beautiful tributes written in honor of Innocent, and my heart is full. He lived a fulfilled life. He lived a good life, though gone too soon. He left a legacy that will not be forgotten in a long time. I will miss Innocent greatly. The plans we made that I don't know where to start executing them. The promises he made that will not be fulfilled now, but most importantly, the happiness, his smiles, and pride he brought to me. I thank God for the life he lived here, the work he did, and the impact he brought to everyone gathered here to honor you today. Thank you for taking the time to pay your condolences to our beloved departed soul. Good night Akwakepa, my love brother, rest on my own prof.
Thank you very much. We'll quickly go to the next. And to Innocent will say, this is how we remember you. A great man that we'll never forget. I'll invite Mrs. Edith Chukwuma, his younger sister, to be the next to honor her brother. Can we put our hands together for her as she comes up?
Your love is kind. Your love is patient. You fill my heart with so much peace and joy. You are amazing. You make my life feel brand new. Jesus, you love me too much, too much, excess love.
We're here to celebrate the life of a man who lived it well. And I want to also appreciate us to allow that we do this easily. Thank you very much. I also want to specially announce the arrival of the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum and the executive governor of Ekiti State, His Excellency Dr. Kayode Fayemi. You're welcome, sir. We'll quickly take two of his childhood friends. Okay, Mwaguma of Rolak, if he's here, we'll take you quickly. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up.
Oba pepe zilana chupu noso. Oba pepe zilana chupu noso. Oyeleba pepe zilana chupu noso. Ileba pepe zilana chupu noso. Oba pepe zilana chupu noso. Oba pepe zilana chupu noso.
If he's not here, I also want to invite Dr. Geoffrey Anyao to come and deliver the next tribute. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will want to go online and we will be taking the next tribute from one of his childhood friends who has stayed with him all through, Mr. Chido Onuma.
Thank you very much, Clean Foundation, for putting this together. My name is Chido Onuma. I'm the coordinator of the African Center for Media and Information Literacy. I'd like to start by condoling with our sister Josephine and the children. So much has been said about the Innocent and his contribution to police reform and the larger civil society space. Innocent was all that and more. He exemplified the very best of us. I met Innocent around 1988 during our engagement in the student movement. I was at the University of Calabar. He was at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. And subsequently, he would spend time with me in Calabar each time he ran into trouble with the authorities at the University of Nigeria. Our paths would cross again during our national service in Maiduguri, Borno State. We had a relationship that bordered on brotherly love. What endeared Innocent, and I'm sure many of us can testify to this, was his humanism and good-naturedness. One of the things I never stop talking about when an opportunity like this comes up, it's the fact that Innocent was very supportive to people who he barely knew, but even more so for those who were close to him. I remember 6 years ago when I ran into crisis during my PhD work and I was about to abandon the program. It was Innocent who encouraged me to stay on and gave support through Ford Foundation for me to complete the program. Inom, as I used to call him, loved life and he enjoyed it to the fullest. You couldn't get bored in his company. He had a joke as a solution to every problem. His humor stood him out in every gathering. His friends became my friends and my friends were his friends. Innocent was a big man, but it wasn't just his frame that defined him. He was a man of big ideas. He was also very practical in every sense of the word. There was hardly any problem Innocent did not have a solution to. Whether you agreed with him or not, you had to respect the depth and originality of his ideas. The fecundity of his mind reminded you of a Groyd, the repository of oral tradition in West Africa. Innocent was friendly and accessible. The influence he wielded did not change his disposition towards friends or younger associates. For many in my generation, the political philosopher Frantz Fanon was the quintessential primer for political education. In Fanon's seminal work, The Wretched of the Earth, he admonished each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. In life, Innocent epitomized the words of Fanon. He discovered his mission and fulfilled it, and he's deservedly been honored in death. I hope we'll find a way to immortalize Innocent and his ideas. Rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace, Inoma. Thank you.
Our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite for his tribute. We're moving to the category of government agencies. I want to welcome the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Tony Ojukwu, to come and deliver his tribute. Please put your hands together for him. Let me also add that he was one of the earliest persons to come in here today. It's just commitment to friendship. Thank you, sir.
Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of the Please let me stand on all the protocols that have been established already. Today, we mourn the departure of a patriot, a true believer in our democracy and human rights. We celebrate the life and achievements of an activist, a leader, and a distinguished Nigerian and global citizen who has devoted his life in the pursuit of liberty, equality, and social justice. Today, I celebrate my friend, my partner, and a true supporter, Innocent Chukwuma. I met Innocent in 2007, and I knew immediately that this persona and passion were the right elixir we needed to spark off a rich and enduring partnership, which has spanned various aspects of human rights. Through the Clean Foundation, Innocent was instrumental in shaping the work of the National Human Rights Commission on police accountability and reforms. This includes the groundbreaking public hearing on police brutality in partnership with NOPRI. Innocent was a firm believer in the National Human Rights Commission as a democratic institution with the mandate to protect the rights of every Nigerian and ensure accountability of the state to human rights instruments binding on the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In 2006, the accreditation of the Commission was downgraded due to the interference of government, leading to the ultimate sacking of the then Executive Secretary, Buhari Bello. To his credit, Innocent rallied local and global civil society community behind the Commission to protest and bring the government of Nigeria to account. Such was his courage, his conviction, his talent, and reach. The life and works of Innocent personify the words of Peter, the hero in Uwapo's work, Fortitude, that it isn't the life that matters, it is the courage you bring to it. We will not forget how young Innocent took on military rule in Nigeria, facing incarceration and other forms of human rights violations for his beliefs in democracy and freedom. His recognition in 1996 with the Reebok Human Rights Award fired him up to do even more. Innocent lived a life of purpose and of impact. He leaves behind us a template of how to make our lives count in words, in influence, and in deeds. Innocent was one of the first Nigerians to congratulate me on my appointment as Executive Secretary of the Commission in 2018. He assured me of his support, and in his typical style, he lived up to his promise. The Ford Foundation Office for West Africa, which he headed, was a major supporter of our flagship project on the panel on sexual and gender-based violence. He became a reliable partner, advisor, and confidant. Innocent had the ability to work with people from all ages and all walks of life, to trust them and to strive to improve their human rights and well-being. Today, from the north, south, east, west, we have gathered to celebrate his life and works. Innocent presents for all of us lifelong lessons in commitment, partnership, and humanity. From being an advocate for police accountability, he became an agent for police reforms. From a human rights activist, he became a force for change, a rallying point for the incubation of ideas, skills, and policies that will fight inequalities and drive people-centered development. In everything, Innocent was guided by the firm belief that life was transient, that our life is nothing but buckets of deeds which eventually will be told as tales called history. That the greatest good anyone can do in life is the service to fellow citizens. Innocent seems to have been guided by the words of Stephen Grellet, who once said, "I expect to pass through this world but once. If therefore there be any of kindness I can show, or any good thing I can do to any fellow human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I will not pass this way again." Innocent has left us at a time Nigeria and the world needed his service. But he has played his part, and we celebrate him today. What is now left is for us to continue his good works and live in his ideals of courage and commitment to democracy and freedom. I can hear the voice of Innocent Chukwuma whispering to all of us, saying in the words of St. Paul the Apostle, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." To Josephine, Chidinma, Amarachi, and Nkechi, Innocent was an inspiration to many, and may his legacy continue to serve as your strength even in these difficult moments. To the Nigerian human rights community, may the legacy of Innocent continue to live on and inspire us to continue his good works, to enthrone a society where the human rights of everyone is respected and protected. I commit to continue from where you stopped, to ensure that from accountability, police reforms must be the way forward in Nigeria. May the soul of Innocent continue to rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we can put our hands together for him. Next, I want to invite for his tribute one who many will not remember him as a civil society pillar, but one who also we seldom talk about as an author of a best-selling democratic odyssey, Art of the Shadows. And at one time, he was also a journalist of The Guardian at the City Temple, and even became an editor for Nigeria Now. He was also one time the Minister for Solid Minerals. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum and Governor, Executive Governor of Ekiti State, His Excellency, Dr. Kayode Fayemi. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up to the
Thank you very much. Distinguished friends, comrades, ladies and gentlemen, we're here this evening to honor one of the most inspiring figures in African civil society. Nothing could have prepared us for the passing of our brother, Innocent Chukwuma. And in fact, when the news filtered in the morning of April the 4th, 2021, Isi and I could not really fathom it. Because only the day before, we learned of Yinka Odumakin's passing, another towering figure in the Nigerian civil society. And it seemed like both legends of our struggle had agreed to serve us their untimely exit back to back, so we could deal with the agony in one season. Pain tugged at our hearts as we tried to decipher what had happened. How could he know be dead? My mind kept going back to our last engagement, which was almost always about our polity, Nigeria, and the fragility of our democracy. Despite all the work that has been put into the Nigerian project by many in the civil society. In life, Innocent fought a good fight and had a long winning streak of phenomenal success as one of the most iconic leaders of civil society out of Africa. He was exceptional. He was a sagely intellectual, a dogged activist, a prodigious administrator, and a patriotic nation builder. Above all, he was a very good friend to me and my wife, alongside Josephine, as he was to many of us in this hall. Ino's most remarkable ability for me was his capacity to build genuine bonds of friendship with so many people from so many different backgrounds in the course of his work. And every engagement with Innocent left you with the impression that he was not only deeply passionate about collaborating with you on projects and programs, but he was first also interested in you as a human being. His Oga Kayode, how are you, was always genuine and demanding of an honest response about how I, as his friend, was coping with the vicissitudes of life. But I was also a beneficiary of his generosity as the West Africa Director of the Ford Foundation, both as Minister, Mines and Steel Development, and also in my current role as Governor of Ekiti State. As Minister, he funded many of my engagements with artisanal miners, as well as with civil society institutions interested in mining and resource governance. And of course, as Governor, he has been very supportive of our gender equality program in Ekiti State, particularly in relation to gender-based violence. And he's also supported that at the level of the Nigerian Governors Forum. It's not surprising that Innocent had one of the widest networks in the public and civic sectors on this continent. He was trusted by individuals, governments, development agencies, and global non-profits. And he never failed. Just as Tony has said, he got early recognition when he won the Reebok Human Rights Prize in 1996. And as someone who is from the movement myself, I can attest to the fact that his knowledge of the workings of civil society was stellar. And he had this obsession for birthing ideas, nurturing them to the point they can thrive, handing them over to competent successors, which is not always one of our strong points in civil society. Many of us in civil society want to remain permanent directors, not for Innocent. Once he has built an idea, he was ready to move on. He was a perennial builder of ideas and initiatives. And one of his finest legacies is the Clean Foundation, which is set up in 1998, and one of the very first African CSOs to focus on public safety, security, access to justice in West Africa. Clean Foundation was the first African non-governmental organization to receive the prestigious MacArthur Foundation Award for Creative and Effective Institutions. Amongst other achievements, Innocent was the foremost authority on police reforms in our country and was a good team player and an irrepressible coalition builder. He was active with us when we established the African Security Sector Network, ASSN, and also played a central role in the work of the reputable polling body, Afrobarometer, with Clean serving as its Nigerian base. Indeed, there's hardly any civil society organization in West Africa that did not feel Innocent's impact, and by extension, millions of lives that were impacted by the program. And long before he became the regional director for the West Africa office of Ford Foundation, he had championed several civil society projects, including serving as a consultant for DFID in 2008 to design one of its development interventions in Nigeria. As the director of the Ford Foundation Office for West Africa, Inu, alongside my other brother and friend, Kole Shetima, facilitated a partnership to support our government when we were coming in 2015, particularly on the government's anti-corruption agenda. And this was what led to the establishment of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, PACAC. The support received from these donors, Ford Foundation, MacArthur Foundation, and Osiwa, huge sums of money, and I want to mention the figure, they know, which accelerated the work of PACAC and the anti-corruption drive of the present administration. As an institution builder, Innocent was instrumental to the establishment of several activist institutions and civil society organizations. He was the head Police Research Project, Director of International Advocacy, and Acting Executive Director at Civil Liberties Organization, where he started as an Assistant Program Officer. And at the time, CLO was unarguably Nigeria's first and most prominent human rights organization. And there he mobilized intergovernmental organizations, locally and internationally, to sanction military regimes in Nigeria, especially those of Generals Babangida and Abacha. This was a period when human rights was severely trampled upon by the military juntas. Ino also served in various capacities on the boards and advisory bodies of many international bodies, particularly international policing and criminal justice organizations. He was chairperson at TMG, Transition Monitoring Group, lead consultant, voluntary policing sector, DFID's Justice for All program. He was also board member, International Center for the Prevention of Crime, ICPC, board member, African Policing Civil Oversight Forum, board member, Open Society Global Criminal Justice Fund, member, African Advisory Council of Human Rights Watch. He was also the chair of the Altus Global Alliance, a global network of non-profits. He was gregarious and boisterous, yet patient and gentle all at once. He was infectiously witty, and at the same time deeply caring about people. He was irreverent of power structure when the occasion demanded, but also knew how to cut the powers that be and mobilize stakeholders towards achieving a particular objective. That did not mean that such individuals would not attract his criticism in the course of time if they deviated from doing what was right. Many here who may be members of the online platform to which we both belong, the Nigerian Collective, would recall his sharp tongue against those he felt had gone against the grain. And not for him, the lazy intellectualism of cloistered academics was very much at home, lecturing in the hallowed precincts of some of the most prestigious institutions in the world, as he was mobilizing against wrong actions by government at home. He was always in search of solutions in a variety of ways. When I met him at first, he was a young activist growing under the wings of Olisa Bakoba and IOB, but and also working closely with his friends, late Chima Obani and Emma Ezeazu. But he soon became a legend in Nigeria's democratic struggle, indeed a phenomenon. At the time, our country was in deep trouble with state-sponsored intimidation of people like Innocent, who consistently spoke through to power. But as the years went by and his ideas and methods evolved, he never abandoned the vision of a genuinely democratic, free, and just Nigeria. A fearless activist and selfless leader that Ino was, a significant feature of his legacy will be his courage of conviction and the clarity of his ideas through which he brilliantly and lucidly laid out, line upon line, precept upon precept, what he was convinced were the imperatives for fixing Nigeria. The greatest tribute, therefore, that we can all pay to this Nigerian exemplar is to continue in his ways by building institutions and structures that will uplift lives and serve the purpose of our time and beyond. It was the late Nelson Mandela who once said, "There can be no greater gift than that of giving one's time and energy to help others without expecting anything in return." Not only thought hard and theorized about how to make a fundamental difference in the lives of ordinary people. He, for the most part, had his hand on the plow and never looked back. For the devout Christian that he was, what blessedness for him to go home in a blaze of glory during Easter. This year and I commiserate with our sister Josephine and the girls and the rest of the family. Fought a good fight. Kept the faith. Finished the race well. But Nigeria has been shortchanged by the loss of this consistent advocate of justice and equity. But the struggle must continue as it would have wanted. Africa has lost a gem, indeed one of the brightest in the firmament. I have lost a friend. I do, Good night.
Please put your hands together for His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ekiti State. Indeed, the friend who had come to pay tribute to his friend. Thank you very much, sir. We'll quickly take another one. The story is touching, and I'm sure when the death of the passing of Innocent was announced, he was one of those who will have been called and said, "Sir, has it got anything to do with COVID?" The past 1.5 years for us as a country have been very COVIDic, and the disaster were not worse because one man, one square peg, was allowed to remain in the square hole. It was a bad time, but he stood for us, and he was our friend. He has come also to pay tribute today to our late friend, Mr. Innocent Chukwuma. Let me therefore welcome the Director General for the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Dr. Chikwe Ihekwazu. You're welcome, sir. He's a very busy man, you will agree, but he's taking time out to be here, and he has been sitting at the back quietly. We said, no, we have to bring him up, because any moment from now, they can call him either from the villa or from the SGF's office to come and just explain some things. But clap for him, please.
I really didn't want to say much. Innocent called me at the beginning of this outbreak, out of the blue, and said to me, when I was a students' union activist in the University of Nigeria, it was very hard for lecturers to stand up for you. But your mother, Professor Edith Ihekwazu, stood up for me at the time. So now is the time for me to support you. So Innocent put together a small group of Nigerians. To be honest, I had never had the privilege of engaging with one-on-one. It included Chief Antedo Peterside, Kole Shetima, and many others, Judy Lo, who was mentioned today. And they called themselves the NCDC Support Group. Innocent organized a meeting every Saturday, 5 p.m., an online meeting with all of them. Asked me to put our management team together and my comms team, that their role will be to quietly support us to win over Nigerians. Innocent said he didn't want his support to be known or to be acknowledged publicly. He wanted to support us quietly in the background, that he understood there were things as a government leader I could not say myself, but that he was better placed than others to stay safe from the background. We met every week. Later this year, early this year, it reduced to once in 2 weeks. Innocent organized the meeting, set the agenda, his team did the minutes, every 2 weeks. At some point, I was the one asking Innocent for a break, embarrassingly, when he had set out to support me. So I know there have been many tributes. I can't claim to be a long friend of Innocent. Our engagement has been for a few years at best, but he has had a big impact on this response in many ways, a big impact on the life, on my life, and on the team in NCDC that has worked hard, because when they got his email or WhatsApp message for the meeting next Saturday, we knew that we couldn't fail. So what do we leave with? Now he's gone. Just like His Excellency said, we have to keep on this process of building a country. No matter how daunting it feels, no matter the bad news we hear on TV every morning, Innocent was never daunted. So if we have anything we could do in his memory, if there's anything we can do in his memory, it's not to be daunted and to keep building the country of our dreams. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you for your kind words. We'll take another. This time we're going to let me invite Mr. Andy Nkemneme of the International Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, IPCR. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up. We have a few more I want to assure you. Before long, we'll be leaving here. We are here to celebrate one who will have stayed from the beginning to the end of this program if it was one other person.
Good evening, everybody. I'm just here to read a poem which I did for Innocent. Not only as somebody who works with the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution that partners with Clean Foundation, but as a friend of Innocent Chukwuma. I met Innocent in the early 90s when he came to join the Indecent People's Congress, as at that time I was the national president. Later, after discussions with him, Chukwuma and Geoffrey Anyao, I discovered that he was a close friend to Chima Ubani, who took over from me as a president of Center for Equal Rights and Justice, UNN, in the early 80s. So I know Innocent Chukwuma from the early 90s up to date. I was even one of those who I usually tell him when himself and Josephine, when we crack jokes, I tell you, remember I stood as your father the day we went to do your introduction. So he was a very close friend of mine. So I'll just take this poem that touches on so many things about our relationship and our work life. Innocent Chukwuma, a comrade with a style. Could this be true? That your light went off midday of your life? That the eagle on the Iroko flew unnoticed? The screams, the dreams, the screams. In the same ways like an abandoned baby by the roadside. Civil society movement bruised like never before. Nigeria locked in its own catastrophe of shame. International communities in hour of another battle lost. Could this be true? That no one knew of this coming tsunami. That the dance of the familiar spirit is over. The cokes that we drank, the jokes, the joys. UNN could not dim this star from the east. The military could not daunt this fire from within. The police trailed and marveled at his ingenuity. We all reached out to tap from his competencies. Could this be true? The stage set for the battle of the titans crumbled. Our mouths speak not, even our saturated ears. The prizes, the cries, the sighs. Innocent Chukwuma, another dream dashed. Chima Ubani we still carry in our battered memories. Gani Fayumi we still haunts our fettered dreams. Yinka Odumadike waited not and followed suit. Could this be true? You traverse the thorns and trenches for your people. You canvass the truth and the best for the decent society, the odds, the costs, the loss. How are the mighty falling indeed in Nigeria? Their shoes too big to fit our infertile legs. Their laurels too numerous for our tabloids. Their conquests hide not the generations unborn. Could this be true? When your families needed you most, you took a bow. When your country noticed you more, you drew the curtain. The rents, the pains, the gains. Innocent Chukwuma, a comrade with style. Innocent Chukwuma, an activist with passion. Innocent Chukwuma, a heart made of gold. Innocent Chukwuma, the people's general. Could this be true? Josephine, behold your children. Children, behold your mother. the kids, the kings, the means. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, another round of applause for him. I had just seen somebody tweet and it says, if there will be need for order or civil society activities in heaven, and if Gani, Ubani, Ezeazu, and Odumaki of late have not started it, I'm sure by now they will have been called to a meeting to think about what needed to be done about it. And we know who will be leading it now. It will be our own innocent Chukwuma. But distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking one from the Police Service Commission. Let me welcome Commissioner Romy Moore. You're welcome. Please put your hands together as he comes to deliver a tribute. After this time out, we'll be moving to another set of people, and this time we'll be talking with professional colleagues. We may not be able to take everybody, but we'll take as many as we can, because these tributes are reassuring messages that he lived a good life, and we're happy that he showed it.
The Executive Governor of Ekiti State, I seek to stand on existing protocols. Justin and the kids, I bring you condolences from the Chairman Police Service Commission. Innocent in his lifetime and in his work, from what we've all been hearing here, was synonymous with accountability when it comes to policing. And the Police Service Commission is the constitutional body that is set up for that. In his time, he practically, and I use the word literally, he practically carried the Police Service Commission in ensuring that the Commission does what is constitutionally supposed to do. For me, Innocent is a friend, not just a colleague, as most of us here will attest to. The thing about Innocent is that friendship did not, relationship, working relationship did not just end at that. Somehow, the humane essence, that thing in him, will pierce down to a relationship that is personal. It never stopped at just being colleagues. And I'm sure this is one thing all of us will agree to. This was a brother, a mentor, and several things to many of us in the civil society sector. Whether you are young or you are up there, all of us related to Innocent as if we are all of the same ilk, not minding the great strides he had achieved. When the present board of the Police Service Commission was put in place, Innocent was one of the first persons, of course, to call me to, just like he did call my brother and the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission. And the first thing he said was, the Police Service Commission in the last 4 years have not had a civil society representative. You being there calls for so much that we will have to do together. It wasn't me saying, it wasn't me reaching out, it was him reaching and saying, there's so much we have to do together. Innocent facilitated and ensured that the Police Service Commission, 4 months into its inauguration, had a strategic meeting where a plan was put together so that it could guide the commission for the time it was there to be, that is 5 years, for this present board. One thing struck me, he didn't only attend the meeting and present the lead paper, but he spent the night with us, the chairman, is Kemi here? Kemi was there too, and spoke passionately all through the evening what we could do so that the Nigerian on the street can enjoy that which the commission is put together to do. This was someone doing what he loved to do. I remember when we were, that is the African Policing Forum, we were supposed to have a meeting post-COVID. Again, we reached out to Innocent to deliver a paper. And when I talked about the fact that we needed Innocent to deliver the paper, the time was so short. Someone in the organization, someone in the committee said, but you can't get Innocent at such a very short time. It will be difficult. And I understood what he was saying. This was, someone who had gone really, really, really far in terms of what he was doing. His time was precious, always filled up, and 48 hours notice was very small. But I was confident because I knew who I was talking about. This is someone who can, inconvenience himself if only he can pour himself into something that will be worthwhile in development at whatever level. Confident of that, I reached out that night to Innocent, and he truly, as I thought, came forth and delivered that paper. Someone who is a patriot in terms of believing in the independence of the Nigerian civil society sector. In our days at the TMG, I was also a member of the board when Innocent was chairman. Something happened, and it struck us so very much. In those days, you needed a lot of money to monitor elections, which was what the TMG was about. And so much money came to TMG on one condition: the money was going to be warehoused by international organizations in Nigeria, and TMG was going to, based on activities, draw on the funds. And Innocent said, look, the Nigerian civil society has come up on its own. It has, earned its stripes. It cannot receive money through an agency. You either fund us directly or we monitor the elections from the resources that we have. He refused to touch that money, the resources, and TMG for the first time under Innocent Chukwuma was able to monitor elections without any foreign support. The first of its kind. That was the first time for me that I was getting close to this great man, this icon. And from that time till when the Lord called him home, all my engagement with him has taught me one thing or another. No person comes close to Innocent in our sector that does not learn one thing or another. Humility, strategic thinking, whatever it is. This is someone that we can talk about from now till tomorrow. Where the things he achieved did not in any way tell on the person you were with or talking to. And so, as we bid Innocent goodbye, we want to say we thank the Almighty God for the gift of life that he gave Innocent and the gift that we shared, that being part of this life, learning from him and all of that. The civil society leaders he has given birth to, will continue to lead these tenets. And so Innocent, the great idea that he was, cannot die. He lives. And may the Almighty God console the family, console us all. Josephine, may God continue to also strengthen you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll move to the next category now, and this time we're taking professional colleagues and development partners. Let me begin by the African Regional Director for MacArthur Foundation, Dr. Kole Shetima. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up. I'll get a few others to speak after him, but it's a long list, but we'll try to pick and choose so we can make it easy for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Governor of the state, my friend, my comrade, my colleague, my former employee, being the board member of Center for Democracy and Development. He was our first founding executive member as well. Distinguished colleagues, comrades, friends, when I was about to come to say a word or two, I wasn't quite sure what to say because so many people have also asked me to speak on their behalf. Our former president of the MacArthur Foundation, in the person of Jonathan Fanton, who is online, he wanted me to say a few things. Our former director of the Human Rights Program, Mary Page, our current president, John Palfrey, our managing director, my colleagues Amina and Dayo, who are all online, wanted me to say things on their behalf. So I'm not quite sure what to say, but to say that this is a big loss to all of us. When I got the news, I believe that was on the 3rd, around 10 p.m., I didn't want to believe it. I called a few of my friends and I just wanted to hear from their voice whether they had the news and try to live in some bubble world. Once I didn't hear any shaky voice or anything sad or thing, then I said, well, actually maybe this is not true. But I guess the morning of April 4th, that was when it really hit hard on us that what we thought was not true is really true. So in my tribute, I titled it Innocent Was Not Innocent. Because I remember that my last meeting with him was in February. I believe John Oda was there, Ngozi Uwere, Otibi Buzo, a few other people. Because we have been thinking for some time since the death of Chima that many of our friends and comrades and colleagues have died and we have not been taking care of their own children. And we believe that if we don't care of their own children, why would their children ever believe in the ideals and the values of their parents? So I believe we met, I think it was February 28th or so on the Zoom call, and we appointed, we established what we call the Solidarity Fund, and Innocent volunteered to be the head of the fundraising committee. So the week he died, actually, it was in my mind to call him and find out, okay, what is happening? You know, how is the fundraising committee was going on? I think, unfortunately, I never had the opportunity of talking to him until that news came through on April 3rd. I knew Innocent not as a professional colleague. In fact, in some ways, I knew him as a family member because in the 1980s and the 1990s, once you are a student activist and you are posted as a NYC member to any part of the country, you are actually going to stay home away from home. That was how Oti Buzo came to my degree, how was Rima Shawulu, how was Chido, Salihu Lukuman. All of them basically means, you know, once you are posted from one part of the country to another country, you are actually going to come and meet your other family members in that part of the country. And that was the kind of relationship that we established. And then fortunately, I joined the MacArthur Foundation. And then, of course, you know, he was in NOPRIN, he was in Clean Foundation. And I think the history of the MacArthur Foundation and the Clean Foundation and NOPRIN have been mentioned a few times here. And I think that the commitment, the professionalism, the work that Innocent have made, that was why we always stood by him to support him in the work that he did. And therefore, our relationship with him is a much, much more complex relationship, not of development partners, of that of professional relationship, but we also had a very long personal engagement and personal commitment with him as well. I want to end, because I know the day is past gone, by saying thank you to the family for giving us a wonderful human being who has made significant contributions to the lives of all Nigerians. Thank you to Josephine and our daughters for making the sacrifice, for allowing Innocent to spend so much of his time serving humanity and serving people. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my comrade. Good night, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you very much, and the entire family, MacArthur Foundation family, for being online and also for supporting us. We'll take the next one, and I do hope that the others will just speak straight to the point because of time. We have this category and one more, and then we'll be done. Let me invite the Executive Director for Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, Dr. Clement Mwanko, to deliver his own tribute. Please put your hands together for him.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Governor of the State, friends, colleagues. It's very deep sadness for all of us losing Innocent. A lot of us know him really close. A lot of us have been affected by his life, by his work. Innocent joined the CLO after I left it. We shared the same location, streets next to each other. The CLO was on the one street, and Constitutional Rights Project, which I headed, was on the other street. And we worked together, but at some point in the course of working together, CLO and CRP, Innocent became quite a frequent visitor to CRP. And he would come and share company with staff in the office and talk. And at some point I began to be curious as to why he was frequently in my office. It took a while, but I discovered that he had become much more than a friend to one of my staff and colleague, Josephine Chukwuma. And pleasantly, it was good to see that they got married. Josephine was to leave CRP at some point. She was one of the most hardworking staff that we had. But she did set up Project Alert, and Innocent, of course, was later to set up the Clean Foundation. And between the both of them, I think they did a great job working to expand the frontiers of freedom and democracy in Nigeria. We remained very good friends, and when in 1998 the brutal dictator General Sani Abacha died, it was quite clear and a huge debate for all of us how to engage the process. Clear for some of us who felt it was important to engage the process to encourage civil society leaders to get into leadership positions, and unclear for some of us or some of our colleagues who felt differently. Innocent was one of the most radical elements at the time, but he also had the clear-headedness to understand the importance of making sure that our democracy or the transition to military rule was such that gave us the democracy that this country deserved. And working together with myself, with Abdul Oro, who was the executive director of Civil Liberties Organization at the time, and I think it's been mentioned at the time, Joe Festus Okoye, we created the Transition Monitoring Group, which observed the elections. I was the founding chair of the Transition Monitoring Group, and Innocent was to become chair, I think, after IOB had chaired the TMG as well. But what was clear in terms of all of the engagement with Innocent is his passion. I think a lot of people say, oh, he's gentle and so on, but Innocent is also very, very passionate and actually a very strong-willed person. In a lot of ways, he represented, I think, some of the radical element of civil society at the beginning. But one thing was clear, he always tempered
his radicalism with reasonableness, with an understanding of how to reshape society. And you could see that with the work that he did with Clean Foundation, with the Ford Foundation, where a whole lot of us in this room, and it's really pleasant listening to Dr. Kayode Fayemi, the governor of Ekiti, elaborating on some of the engagement and some of the initiatives that the Innocent took. My last meeting with him was, I think it was in March of this year, where he said to me, he was heading out, and he'd been saying that for a while, he was heading out to Oxford, and he was going to be in regular touch because he needs a whole lot of the institutional knowledge to help him in the work that he was doing, writing a book. And he always said, part of the challenge of today's civil society is not learning from history, not knowing history. And I think that Innocent's life, as we review it, as we pay tribute to him, it's important for those who are coming behind the young elements to understand the history of the civil society movement in Nigeria, the important need of listening to the other side, the important need of listening and not being, as a lot of us tend to be, very purist, but understanding that there are difficulties in this country. But us understanding what those difficulties are and thinking solutions would be what will take us to where we are. Innocent, we will miss you. You did a great job for Nigeria. Nigeria is grateful to you. We wish you perfect rest. And for Josephine and the children, we know that you will miss him the most, but we also pray that God will give you the strength to share, to get past this moment and understand that we all share with you the grief that you are going through at this time. May the good Lord grant his soul eternal peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you once again for that comment. We'll move quickly because of time. I want to appeal to us that we'll just remain so that we can, together at the end, we will sing the hymn and we will use the candle to do a short procession outside to honor him. At that part, we would love to all do together. But now let me invite the country representative of the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, Mr. Jude Ilo, to deliver his tribute. Please put your hands together for him. We'll take two more and we will move to the next category that has only one person, and it will be time to take a vote of thanks. So please just stay. I assure you, you have stayed the longer part already for this evening.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would have never in my wildest dream imagined that I'll be standing on the podium giving a tribute to Innocent when he's already dead. I would never have imagined that this year, 2021, that instead of maybe stopping at Oxford to have a drink with him, I'll be here talking about Innocent in the past tense. It is simply unimaginable, it's heartbreaking, and I just can't process it. This is somebody who committed himself in building people, but most importantly, in taking good care of himself. Innocent was a health buff. We will go out, he will take fruit, he will not eat meat, he will not eat that. Every morning he's exercising. He did everything by the book, and today he didn't even get a chance to fight that sickness. He's gone. I'm glad that in his lifetime I had a chance to tell him what he meant to me and what he meant to a lot of us. I'm glad that a lot of people here celebrate him. I'm glad that because of his work in Ford Foundation, there was a time when people came together all over the world to just tell him how special he is. So that comforts me to some extent. So how do I say goodbye? People, when Innocent passed, I got a number of calls, people telling me that they were sending their condolences to me. And it was a bit funny, you know, because me and Innocent, we are not mates, really. Innocent is about 11 years my senior. But he treated me like I was his friend, like I was his equal, like I was his brother. Practically every door he enters, he drags me with him. Unconditionally. Half of the time, I didn't ask for it. He will insist, I'm going for this, you need to come with me. This is the kind of investment he made in people. Because he understands our common humanity. He shares in the understanding that life is all about what you do for others and not what you do for yourself. Every time I reflect on these eternal words of John Donne from 1624, when he said that no man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a part of the main. And he says, each man's death diminishes me, for I am involved in mankind. Therefore, send not to know for whom the bed tolls. It tolls for thee. It is this mutuality of our existence, our common humanity, a shared passion for community that influenced Innocent's life from day one. He understood that the essence of life is in the service of others. And every day, in everything, he was consistent. And I think he has achieved immortality, not because of any religious belief of life after death, but most importantly, because he lives in the heart of all of us. He has built a place for himself in our hearts. Fond memories. It's like he's written his name in a permanent ink, because in our successes individually, he lives on. When we look at places like Oluwaka Institute, the Clean Foundation, the Center for Memories in Enugu, the Foundation for Impact Investment, he lives on. When we look at the thousands of young people he has influenced to become something in life, he lives on. So for me, he's achieved immortality. And there were a lot of lessons from him. He could lead from behind. Innocence is not the one about credits. It's never his thing. He is always focused on finding the opening. How can we make things better? He was an eternal optimist. But he also had one fault. Innocent doesn't like delivering bad news. He will always find a way to get out of it. He's just not able to process getting people hurt. So I remember one instance where we were supposed to go somewhere to go and deliver some very unpalatable news. And then he tells me, are you sure we must do this thing today? I said, yes, this is our assignment, we have to go. And then we drive all the way and get there. And to my greatest shock, Innocent ended up talking about everything except what we came for. And I kept looking at him as in, tell. When we finished, I'm like, again, how far now? He said, can't you see how excited these people are? Let's leave this thing for some other time. But that summarizes his life. He is the eternal peacemaker. When you have issues with people, Innocent will insert himself there, try to make peace. He is constantly giving. And it breaks my heart, really, that we've lost him. Innocent, you know we love you. So that's pretty obvious by what you've seen here today and what's been happening since we passed. And you live eternal, ever here, because you've done so much for so many that you can't be forgotten. Good night, my brother.
and see you on the resurrection morning. Thank you very much. We appreciate you for your words. I'll also want to advise those who are speaking afterwards that these people, we understand the stories you share, but also help us because of time so we can leave here quickly. In Abuja, the buildings are built very well and they are all well lit from the inside. You do not know it's dark outside until you go outside. So please just go straight to the point. I want to invite from Alliance for Credible Elections, Uma Odi. Please put your hands together for her. She comes up to say something for us. After that, I'll take one more person in this category, and then we'll move to the final category that has only one person in it. So you see we are moving very fast. So please just bear with us. If you don't have candles, indicate so they share with you, because we'll have use of those candles immediately after the tributes.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I just want to, I've not really had opportunity to say thank you to Innocent Chukwuma for all he has done for me in life. And I think this is the opportunity to say thank you. Innocent, thank you. In the 90s, before we met physically, I've already heard so much about Innocent through Ima Izazo, late Ima Izazo, and another Bashir Olasoko. And by the time we met, it is easy for us to connect. And every time I visit Sierra, he will call me to his office and will tell me stories of his achievements. Those stories is to encourage me to achieve myself. And at a point, he will say, okay, ma, start going and let me do the work that Sierra is paying me to do. That tradition continued even in Cream Foundation and Ford Foundation. Each time I go to Ford to sign checks, he will now tell me stories of what is happening, what he has achieved. And after he said, Mma Global, what have you achieved yourself, you know? And this year, in January, he came to Abuja, we needed to talk. He called me. He now showed me that he graded a note to his community. He was so excited about it. Then, he now said, 4 times, you know, I have seen you excited about things in your life. The day you told me a story, how you convinced your mother to marry Josephine. The day Chidinma got second class upper in the law school and the Orwaka Institute. These are the times I've seen you celebrate your success. In year 2015, Koyotoyo has been making effort to bring me to Abuja. He got me 2 international jobs and 1 local. Because she thought and she believed that I cannot survive in Baobab for women's human rights. I refused to come. I told her that a pastor had a prophecy I should not come. So in year 2015, she called Innocent and said, I want to move Ma to Abuja. Innocent, can you help me? Innocent, she said, sure. That's always his answer. Innocent called me and said, prepare to come to Abuja. I know he put a lot of time, success, energy, and his usual joke, storytelling and laughter to bring me to Abuja. Innocent, thank you. And it wasn't easy, but he made sure I stayed. And at times he will use storytelling, jokes and laughter to celebrate me, to rebuke me, to condemn me. In year 2017, January, somebody forwarded a request from Khan. I shared it among a project platform. And some members of the platform complained and protested. Innocent immediately issued me a query. I've never seen anybody who issued a query. I followed you up within hours to answer his query. He followed me up with phone call. Ma'am, respond to my query. And when I finished, he said, if this happened again, I will deal with you and I will show you the other side of Innocent Chukwuma. And when I had issues with that of Makato, he asked me what is going on. When I told him, he asked, do you need an assistance? In the year 2017, I said, no. Already Benson of Cream Foundation have told me how to resolve it. It's okay, go ahead and write a report. Meanwhile, that has sent me a text to say, if you don't do what I asked you to do, I'm going to report you to Innocent. I replied, report me to Innocent and also to Jesus Christ. He forwarded that text to Innocent Chukwuma. Innocent pretended as if he didn't see it. He asked me what happened. I told him. He said that young man was doing his job. Please make sure that report gets to him today. And that was it. That's how he behaves. You know? And many times he will call me and discuss so many things, even about the larger family and everything. I said, I will pray, Innocent. And he took on his birthday, 6th of February 2020, during the total lockdown. Before the lockdown, February, I told him that I've asked God, because he has been helping so many people and impacting on so many lives positively, to give him 100 years. He said, "Man, no. I want 80 years. I've told God, and I'm staying 80 years. God will not answer your prayer." Innocent, because you did not stay 80 years, now when you come next, you will stay 125 years, because you didn't stay this one. And this will be the last untimely death in your house, Innocent. Because my joy is that it does not end here. Because I know I will see you on the other side. God, thank you, because my path, an innocent path, crossed on this side. I know we shall see. Innocent, it is too early to say good night. See you on the other side.
All of them ending on the same note. Thank you, Ma, for that story. But let me also tell you that that story is not ended, because he's probably sharing your SMS right now with Jesus Christ. So there's something to do about it. It's not a negative report, it will come back in the form of blessings. Next, let me invite from Partners for Electoral Reforms, Mr. Ezenwa Mwago. It's actually difficult to call him Mr. I prefer to call him Comrade. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up. Please make sure you have a candle with you. We'll tell you what to do with it later on, but do keep it.
Good evening, everyone. I actually didn't think I would be saying anything. I think that one of the most engaging nights that I've had in the course of this civil society work happened at the Rockview Hotel in Owerri, when we were together in the transition committee of Governor Emeka Ihedioha. And we spent almost 3 hours together, and that was the revelation of Innocent in that detailed way that I have not seen him. And what impacted that day, I cannot share with you, but that transformed radically my attitude to first community organizing. At that time, he had started talking about the need to face the East, and that we cannot continue to do the things we do nationally without interventions in our local environment. And incidentally, we are from the same BC. That began to change my perspective. But in all of this, what is important is that we must celebrate people when they are alive. We must tell them how wonderful they are while they are still here. And if there is anything we can do to give them all that it requires to continue to reinforce the work that they do, we should do it when they are alive. Good night, my brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are done with the professional colleagues and development partners category. The next category is supposed to be made up of 4 persons, but 3 of them have declined, and only one will be speaking for us. There's some things they say about men, and if you have stayed in rivers, you have walked in rivers, you can face anything. Let me therefore welcome the alumni of Clean Foundation. Speaking on behalf of all the others, let me welcome the Resident Electoral Commissioner for Rivers State, Obo Efanga. Please put your hands together for him. The other governor has gone, but this man has survived the strongest governor in Nigeria at the moment.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. From all we've heard so far, we can say conveniently that innocent meant so many things to different people. For us, former staff of the CLEAN, Center for Law Enforcement Education in Nigeria, and then later CLEAN Foundation, we saw him as a pan-Nigerian. He was also pan-African. He was very human, and he was also very humane. He worked hard, laughed well, inspired many. He pushed us the staff to reach for the skies. He was a humorist. He was a great writer and documentalist. Lover of knowledge, not only for knowledge's sake, but one who used knowledge to serve humanity. In all, Innocent fits into the popular quote attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson that when you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. In life, the world beat a path to Innocent's door, which opened to a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that many people needed to tap from. On his death, the world is still beating a path to the various doors where tributes are being rendered for Innocent. For all of us who passed through CLEAN Foundation, we know we have lost a friend, a brother, a teacher, a leader, a mentor, and much more. But we are happy that his life is worth emulating, and his work will keep speaking for him. To Josephine, incidentally my cousin, to Chidima, to Amarachi, and to Nkechi, the one he likes to call Nkechi Calabar, we send our heartfelt condolences and also share our gratitude for you agreeing to share your husband and your father with us while he lived. We wish Innocent the best of rest, and we hope to meet in that bright morning when we all will meet in heaven. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The truth is, somebody had said, those that we love do not leave us. There are some things that death cannot touch. We will take the vote of thanks, and after that we'll take the closing prayers. We'll also take the national anthem to formally seal as we started. But then we will have the police band lead us with a hymn, and we'll have the candle procession. It will just be a short one. We'll just go outside and circle the porch or circle the fountain area, and then we'll just be there to just honor him for the evening. Let me therefore invite the Executive Director for CLEAN Foundation, Dr. Benson Olupo, to come and deliver for us the vote of thanks.
The Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Governor of Ekiti State, government officials, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. What a night. What a night. And what a night again. Innocent, you lived a good life. Innocent, we celebrate you. And Innocent, we hope somebody better than you can also come again. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, management and staff of CLEAN Foundation, we want to sincerely thank each and every one of us. Not just those who are here present, but also those who are upstairs and those who are joining us through Zoom, and also those, of course, who must have seen the messages on the WhatsApp platform. That the Lagos office be renamed Innocent Chukwuma Resource Center. Can you put your hands together? And we're also going to have a foundation in his memory. Of course, we all know that one of his passions was the Oluwaka Institute of Technology. And when we realized that the Oluwaka Institute of Technology was not going to make the money we were expecting it was going to make, so we set up the Oluwaka Empowerment Foundation. The board has also graciously approved that Oluwaka Empowerment Foundation will be renamed to Innocent Empowerment Foundation, just to continue some of the ideals and the things he wanted to do that he was not able to accomplish. We thank you for coming, and the journey continues next week, even as we go to lay him to rest in his hometown in Mbise. Thank you for coming. It's not a time to cry, but it's actually a time to thank God for a life well spent. And I wish each and every one of us journey mercies even as we go back. And also it's a time of reflection on what impact are we going to have here on earth even as we go back to our Creator. God bless you. Innocent Chukwuma, good night. Innocent Chukwuma, good night. Innocent Chukwuma, see you on the other side. God bless you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much for being strong for the family and for the staff. Dr. Benson, we appreciate your leadership role and confidence. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I announced earlier, we'll be taking the closing prayers. I've been told that we'll just use the national anthem as our closing prayers. And immediately after that, we will be passing through the exit and we'll do a short procession. But just before then, we will be on our feet after the national anthem will remain standing to just take the first hymn, and as we take the procession out to just honor him. To live in the hearts of the people we love is truly not to die. So for me, he's not dead, he just moved to another place and we can relate with him if we want. Every memory we have shared with him is something that did not go away with him. So I'll advise that to keep those memories, keep them in your hearts, write them in the chapters of your own life stories, and let people know that there was a man who lived with us, who still is in our hearts and is in our own little storybooks. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benjamin Obiri. They call me Ben 200, half human, half amazing. It's an honor being your MC for today. Can we therefore be on our feet as we honor Nigeria? We're taking the national anthem to also signify the close of this event. So the police band will lead us in the last hymn for the day, and afterwards we'll proceed outside for the candlelit procession.
The last hymn for today will be the hymn Abide With Me. If you know it, you join us. Abide with me, fast, fast thy eventide, thou darkness deep. Biko na mbụ nwanne m ma nnukwu anyị nweghị ego n'ezie ị na-aṅụ ọnụ na mbụ ezi enyi m ma nnukwu anyị na-ebe akwa n'ezie Okay.